Great. Thank you all. I want to welcome you to our first Woke Moments podcast for the 2022 year. This month, the month of January, is National Mentoring Month, and it's a great opportunity for us to talk about how we can uplift, inspire, and address issues that BIPOC young women encounter and face. I am so full of gratitude to have a great, phenomenal cast of people who are going to share and dig in deep with us into the conversation about mentorship and the role that it plays to, again, not only uplift our young people, especially those who find themselves in a crisis, but how it's a valuable tool that all of us can partake in, whether as a mentor or being a mentee on the other side. And so I would like to welcome my guests that I have here today. I'm going to call on you each individually for you to do a brief introduction of yourselves to our audience. And then after that, we'll jump into our questions. So first, why don't we start with you, Larissa?
Hi guys, my name is Larissa Gonzalez. I'm 21 years old. I'm a college student. I attend Long Beach City College, and I'm a very grateful participant of Sanctuary of Hope, and I'm very glad to be here. It's very nice to meet all of you.
Great. Chandrea?
Hello, my name is Chandrea. I am also a participant of Sanctuary of Hope. I've been in the program for almost 2 years now, and I'm also very thankful and very appreciative of the experience that I've had within the program.
Great. Yolanda.
Hi everyone, my name is Yolanda. I actually work with Sanctuary of Hope as a Rapid Housing Case Manager. I've been working with this organization for about a year and possibly like 2-3 months, and I'm excited to be here.
Great. And Nancy.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nancy Harris, and I'm the Executive Director of the Faith Foster Families Network. We are a network of 6 churches and faith-based organizations that have come together under the mission to sustain a faith collaborative that provides resources, well-being, and safety for children and families impacted by the child welfare system. And thank you, Janet, for having me today.
Great. And thank you all for being here. So again, as I stated before, this month is National Mentoring Month. And we know that mentors play a key role in helping us individually develop personally, but also they could be very important assets for a young person who may find themselves in a crisis, whether that crisis is a housing crisis, an emotional crisis, a mental crisis, an economic crisis, any of those things that could be potentially seen as overwhelming. And when we're thinking about this and we're talking about this more directly, we're talking about this from a lens of BIPOC young women. And when I use the word BIPOC, for those who may not be familiar with the term, Black, Indigenous people of color, okay? And so with that in mind, Larissa, can you share with us, the audience, how you have used or engaged in mentorship to deal with a crisis?
Yeah, so actually, I'm going to start off by saying when I was first going through my housing crisis as a teenager, I really didn't have anybody to like mentor me or to guide me through what I was going through. And it wasn't until I joined the program that Sanctuary of Hope has that I was able to access mentors to help me out. And I think it's been really great to hear from people who have experienced this kind of situation and to get their outlook and just kind of guide me in the right direction, you know.
Absolutely. Chandrea?
Yes, so a little brief story about my experience. I would say the guidance that I've had received at Sanctuary of Hope has been very, it opened my eyes to resources that were right underneath my eyes, but I was too much of in a crisis to actually investigate or look into it. And so for that, I'm really appreciative for that.
Mhm. So Nancy and Yolanda, you two are often in different roles because one, when a young person may find themselves in a crisis or they're looking for a relationship, right? It's something that either it's a hit or miss, right? It's a hit or miss opportunity. So how do we form or start or initiate the mentor relationship with young people?
You want me to?
Nancy,
start?
why don't you go and then you
Okay.
can follow up, Yolanda.
So this is a great question because in our mentor program, we're matching young people up with more mature people. And
Mhm.
so that connecting is really important. And we were really worried about some of that in the beginning, and really worried from the standpoint of the more mature mentor. Sometimes, as you young people don't know this yet, but sometimes as we mature, we kind of start getting stuck in our ways and in our ways of thinking. And, we think things only work one way. So for us, working with our mentors to really encourage them to have open minds, and to really, quite honestly, operate from the standpoint of everybody is not like you. And so, but everybody life is valuable and valid. And so just to have that, make sure that our mentors have that point of view and operate as such. Now, on the other side of that too is it's a little easier because we are a faith-based organization. And so we recruit from our faith-based pool of individuals. So people tend to be a little more open to people, all kinds of people, and people that are out there in the world. Because the attitude is we are all God's people, and regardless of where you're coming from. So but that connection is important. We are lucky. I don't want to say lucky, but we are find ourselves in the position that most of our mentor mentee matches have worked really, really well. And so we're grateful for that. And we do think it's in part because we have trained our mentors to be open-minded.
That's fantastic. Yolanda?
I think following with that, with what Nancy was saying about being open-minded, I think it's a big, huge characteristics that I myself, when I look for mentors, I look for someone who's open-minded, someone who's going to be motivating me. But I think most importantly is, being able to have a trusting relationship with your mentee or with your mentor, like being comfortable enough to not being fearful of asking a question. I know that a lot of people say there's no dumb questions to be asked, and you should ask them, but still that there's still that fear sometimes of asking questions. And when you have a mentor, I think that that's a safe relationship that you have with that person, that that person's going to hear you and give you their best advice. That person's going to be neutral. That person's not going to be biased. That person's going to, support you in the best way that they can. So as being a mentor and being a mentee myself, that's one of the things that I would say that you know, it's hard building those trusting relationships in the beginning, because it's like you don't know your mentor. This is just, you know, if you're joining a program, you get matched kind of based sometimes on interest, sometimes on, you know, experiences, backgrounds. And so it's really hard to, you know, build that relationship. But I think having a mentor, or having that characteristic, that quality as an individual, being open-minded and being, you know, driven and genuinely wanting to be there for, you know, your mentee, it's a huge trait that I think a lot of mentors should have. And like you said, it's a hit or miss. So you don't know if that relationship's going to grow or it's just going to stay very, you know, minimalist. Just, I hope you're doing okay. If you need me, I'm here. Half of the time, you know, it's not nice to have those kinds of relationships with mentors, just because um then what is your mentor supposed to, you know, like be there for if you're afraid to ask questions or afraid to reach out to? So
Great. So Larissa, you're in college, right? And you are aspiring to do what?
Okay,
What are
so
you aspiring to do?
I'm attending Long Beach City College and my declared major is anthropology, but I'm also getting a certificate on gender and sexuality studies. So with that, I want to transfer next year and get my bachelor's eventually. And the career goal is basically to travel to different cultures and just try to learn their ways and how they learn to embrace their gender. That's something that I'm really passionate about, just like seeing how other people embrace gender and sexuality.
And how would you see a mentor helping you fulfill that dream, that educational dream, as well as that personal aspiration to learn more about other cultures?
I think my biggest thing is just having that motivation and having somebody that believes in me like 100%, because I know that when you tell your dreams to some people, and in my personal case, like I told my dreams to some people in my family and they were kind of just like, oh, well, you can't really do that. You're a girl, you can't really travel the world like that. So it's just like I think it's important to have a mentor for that support.
Yeah, because a mentor could help you undergird you and provide or be that cheerleader to
Yeah.
let you know that that's what you can accomplish.
Yeah.
Chandrea, same
Uh,
question.
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
So what are your dreams and aspirations presently, and how could a mentor help you fulfill that?
Well, as of right now, I go to West Los Angeles College and my studies is psychology. I also run a small jewelry business. I make handcrafted waist beads, nose rings, and crystals of that such. So being said with that, pretty much my mentor, they just encouraged me and they let me know that that no matter what I'm going through with my life, like they're always going to be there to support me and always encourage me to keep going and also give me a different perspective of seeing things. I think like that's what's most important is sometimes we get so fixated on like our situation or our problems, but then like a mentor would be there and they would broaden your horizons or like broaden your viewpoint. And then from there, like it gives you optimism and faith and hope to keep going. To fulfill your dreams.
Right. And I think, and this is, and Nancy, you could really weigh in on this one, is in hearing from Chandrea and Larissa is the importance of having another outlet, right? The importance of having a cheerleader, and even the importance of exposure, which are all things that mentorship can provide for young people.
Yes, I can't agree with you more. Our mentors have been involved from everything from advising mentees. One of our mentors and their mentee had a friend who she felt was giving signs that she may take her own life, may harm herself. So our mentor was able to walk the mentee through some steps that she could take to really help her friend, hopefully help her friend work through those situations. And the mentee was very appreciative of that. We've had some of our mentees, one mentee reached out to her mentor at 1:30 in the morning because she was locked out of her apartment building and was scared and just wanted to hear that voice and to have that person on the other end of the line. And the mentor picked up the phone, saw the number and knew that it was their mentee, and picked up the phone and was able to walk them through that particular situation. And then, on the sort of non-dramatic side, just helping some of the mentees with really how to get a driver's license. How do you go about that? Helping them with the driving test. So basic things like that. Basic things, of course, in our program, we go through, of course, budgeting and, communication skills and all those basic kinds of things. And so the mentors are able to reinforce when a mentee comes up with a real life situation that may revert back, where they can revert back to some of the technical things that they've learned. But the mentors serve as a big brother, big sister type of figure. And it's always, I can even say from my own life, I was blessed enough to have mentors and to have a pretty strong family, but it's always good. And by the way, I still have mentors to this day. Miss Kelly is one of them. So I still have mentors. You will always have mentors throughout your entire, and that should be a goal of everyone's too, especially women of color, because women of color experience, there's a whole nother level of stuff that people don't understand that we women of color experience. And so always to have someone or someones that are in your inner circle that you can go to for support is important. And we take it very seriously because obviously our population doesn't necessarily come to the table with a support system. So we want to always be there for the young person as they get older, to know that they've got a support net there. So you not only get that mentor, but you get the mentors network also too, which is really important.
Yes, that network becomes net worth, right? All of that becomes very fundamental. So Larissa and Chandrea and Yolanda, at what point in your life or in what situation did you realize that you needed a mentor? And what was your expectation of a mentorship relationship?
I feel like throughout life, you're going to need mentors. Even in childhood, we look up to our parents to teach us the things and give us the support that we need to have to go on with life. But I think I really decided that I needed to find a mentor when I was like really going through my housing crisis. And this was in last year, 2020. I was just like really struggling and I didn't really know what to do or how to move on in life. So I reached out to, it's funny, this lady, she was my secretary for my elementary school, and we kept in contact because we just got really close. And so she helped me to find Sanctuary of Hope. And then I was able to have access to mentors from that point on. And really, I expected a mentor to be very somebody that I can trust and look up to, somebody that I can tell my story to without judgment, and just somebody that can help me to find the resources that I need as I am navigating my way to get out of this spot in my life.
I would like to say when I realized I needed a mentor was probably, I used to attend Tuskegee University. I'm not sure if you guys know, but like it's in Alabama, and something that happened, so I had to come home. So once I had came home, I realized like I really need some assistance. And then from there, you guys did assist me. And then also what I look for in a mentor, I would say relatability, dependability, and also encouragement, because being a woman of color, we do experience certain things, microaggressions and things of that sort, and to have somebody who understands what that's like and has the proper guidance to navigate you through that situation, so you could get the best results, is definitely needed.
Yolanda?
I think that as far as my experience, it's something that I recently was talking to my mom about it, just because I've just applied to grad school like last month. And I was acknowledging, the importance of, the people that have crossed my path who have helped me get to the point where I'm at now. And I was thinking back, like now that you asked the question of when was the time when you needed a mentor. And for me, I think I am first gen and I'm the oldest of four. So navigating, I think, high school was, a little bit hard. Why? Because my friends also didn't really finish school. So in terms of, like applying to college, I didn't know how that looked like or how I was going to pick college. So I looked for a mentor there. And thankfully, I received the mentorship of, um, I was part of a program, and she's a commissioner now, for Edmonds Children's Court. So from there, like she has been throughout my whole entire journey. When I was in college, how to navigate college, I didn't know how to. I turned to her. Post grad, like I didn't know exactly how to, navigate that whole entire spectrum too. I turned to her now to, applying to grad school. She's also been very influential in like the career that I've decided to pursue. So I think that's one of the qualities that, I got from her, that she was always very I want to say informative to me about, the different opportunities that there are out there. And that's one of the things that I expected as a mentor, that she took the initiative to, send me through email. Like she had a busy schedule, but she would send me through email like, hey, these are internships that are being offered in the children's court if you want to apply. Hey, these are job opportunities that you might look into. And now with grad school, she's, been a huge support to, she tells me like these are resources that can help you navigate that grad school once you like start getting into school and things like that. So I think all my whole entire life I've needed a mentor, and I'm really grateful that I found not only her but different other mentors who have participated in my life and actively continuously to this day check on me and ask me if I'm doing okay, how's my job going, and I think also adding to what I expected from my mentor was the I want to say they always push me to strive for more and not settle for what I was already going through or where I was at. And so it's one of the things that I actually really like admire about them, and I hope to be that mentor to other youth, to um put that kind of push, like you can do it, put that kind of potential out there and stuff like that. But I think, yeah, like everyone has said, it's not easy. And I think having a mentor in your life plays a big role into, um, getting to the top.
So how is mentoring BIPOC young women different than any other race or group. What are your thoughts on that?
So if I could, and thank you for asking that question. It is quite different. And again, you know, you have to be one to understand. And so that's why it's important. And I really want to applaud and encourage each of you to really don't forget about reaching back and bringing along others, other women of color along with you. It is very different. Chandrea hit on it a little bit with the microaggressions, and Larissa hit on it. You can't do that because you're a girl. You know, there's all these kinds of things that you would think in this day and age we
Right.
wouldn't hear, but we hear these things, and it's important because only, again, you only understand if you are one. And so, you know, being BIPOC, you understand what that journey and the bumps that can be presented along the way. And I will tell you now, it's probably not even probably, it's tougher now. It is tougher now because, you know, the things that we are experiencing in our culture and the attack on people of color, and then of course women of color even more so, is just intense and more intense than I've seen it really ever in my life. And so it is so important for we women to continue to encourage and say not only that you can do it, but also to be there in the times where you may have a bad day, where you ran across a coworker who said something to you sideways, and you know, you're like, okay, you feeling like you would have handled it one way if you had been in one setting, but you had to dial it back. So having someone to talk to about that is important to help you navigate those situations. I can say, I mean, even as I tell this story all the time, and I really think that it's a personal story. I think it was because I was young. I was just out of college. I was Black. It was my first job out of college, and I literally had a manager, older white man, who came over to me. It was just he and I in the lunchroom, who came over to me and kissed me on my neck, literally out the clear blue sky. Yeah.
Wow.
So now I'm older than y'all, and I dare to say I'm a lot older than you, but this was not the time where, you know, a woman could go, look, I'm going to HR and Black power and girl power and all that. This was not that time. And so, you know, I was paralyzed in the moment. I didn't know I didn't know what to do. And I didn't have anybody at that. First of all, I was embarrassed, ashamed. I mean, it was all, you know, a flood of emotions that went on at that time. And it would have helped me at that time because at that time I didn't have a mentor, a female of color that I felt comfortable going to talk about that situation and figure out what I should do. So luckily that situation resolved itself. It was weird. That's a whole nother podcast. But it resolved itself. But the point being, you know, we women of color, you know, get some interesting things that happen to us. And having people behind you that you feel comfortable to talk about these situations to is of extreme importance.
Yes, and sometimes those experiences show up in adulting, right? Where, you know, being a young BIPOC girl in some people's eyes means that you're not a girl, you're not a young woman, but you're actually an adult. And how people view you in that adulting process doesn't give you time or give you space to develop into who you plan to be, right? Which are normal patterns of development. Chandrea?
Oh,
Did you have-
I didn't. No, I didn't have anything to say.
Okay. Larissa, did you have anything to add to that?
I would just like to agree that it's one thing to like have empathy and try your hardest to understand, like, oh, this is what this person is going to based on their background or whatever, but it's another thing to relate to them because you lived through it, you know, like you understand all of the microaggressions and other weird situations that you face.
Yeah, it with Nancy sharing her story, it made me reflect on my time at UCLA, and I actually pulled someone into being a mentor. He didn't want to be a mentor, but he was going to be my mentor because my mind was set on it, because I was struggling so much when I first got onto campus. And oftentimes when you're in camp, you're one, if you're the first in your generation to go to college, right? There's these high expectations that are set on you. But to go into a campus where in classes where you may be the only one, and then you have people shouting things to you such as, you got into this campus because of affirmative action. Not knowing that I came into campus, I was on the honor roll, I did have a 4.0, you know, I did have my worth, but just the constant the need to degrade or try to degrade my worth with wanting to go to such a renowned school was, I mean, it was very hard. It was hard to the point where I even myself thought about dropping out my first quarter there. And when I went to this person, his name is Mandala Kaise, many of us know Mandala. He told me when I first came to him that he does not talk to freshmen. But if I was to make it into the next year, that he would talk to me. And that was the motivation, because I wanted his mentorship, his feedback, because I saw how he engaged with other young people on the UCLA campus to inspire them, to get them to do more. I wanted to be among that group, and just having just that little seed planted, or that big push, or that motivation to accomplish that, because you are going to talk to me, was very instrumental, even with where I am today, and even with me now. I still have mentorship among a great group of women. I have mentorship among communities of faith, but also have mentorship even with those who are in the realm of politics and advocacy. And I appreciate those moments very well, because oftentimes too, as being women of color, it's hard for us to get out of our way to even sometimes make that ask and to share where we're at in certain spaces. Especially, there are times that I get depressed and people don't even realize that I'm even depressed. But sometimes being able to tap into a relationship helps me address kind of those emotional and mental states that I'm in at the time. And so, how has mentorship helped you grow or deal with stress, whether, you know, the stress is, you know, toxic, environmental, family? I mean, how has mentorship played a role in helping you kind of address stress and deal with matters as they come?
Can I start off?
Yes.
I would say it would definitely be mindfulness, like, and being present. Because like I said, if it's a rat race going on in your head and somebody's outside of you, they're able to pick up on that and definitely able to like, you know, help you navigate. So I would say that for sure.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Larissa?
I would say, so last year, 2021, that was the first year that I was in Sanctuary of Hope. And it was the first time that I was offered stable housing for a very long time in my life. And so I had a lot of time to sit with myself and really just take in and address all of the trauma that I experienced as I was homeless. And it kind of turned my mental health to like a really bad place. And I would say that I was going through depression and I'm suffering anxiety. I still suffer anxiety pretty bad, but I was able to talk to my mentor about it, and they've offered me services for counseling and just talk to me about anxiety that they have faced and how to kind of work through it.
Yolanda and then Nancy?
I think, like I said, being, the oldest, I think a mentor has played a big role in being motivational and being, I want to say, like Chandra mentioned earlier, that you wanted someone reliable. I think that's, I'm very blessed to have, I know, people have busy lives, and the fact that, mentors take their time to respond to, mentees' needs, it's for me, a big plus, just because, you know that you're being cared for, you know that you're being listened to, you know, so I think mentorship has helped me navigate a lot of different stresses, I think, last year, a year ago, already, I lost my dad, and that was like the rock to my family, the foundation, the person who held, all of us tight together. And I think just turning to, someone who just had similar experiences to me has been, very, has shown me, that there's empathy in people. There's, people have, big hearts and things like that. And like, they actually care of where I'm going, of how, I'm going to be, how am I going to move forward from this, experience. And so I think mentorship has definitely been a big role in, you know, how I'm here at this point, because I know that if I weren't to have those people around me, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at, and that's why I try to, step up into these mentorship roles, because I always say to myself, if I had this person, growing up, why not give that opportunity to other people who don't have, mentors? And I see that with my sisters now as a oldest. I wish I wasn't the oldest sometimes, but at the same time, I'm very grateful that I was given that role and that paper, because I feel like I was meant to, lead my sisters into the right direction and be that support. So I'm really, grateful for the mentorship opportunities, and I'm grateful for, I'm gonna get religious here, but for God for giving me these qualities to be a good mentor to other people.
All right.
That's great, Yolanda. And believe me, there's no mistake. So you are in that role because you're supposed to be in that role. So, and we're here together on this call because we are all supposed to be together at this time, sharing this information and supporting one another. So you go, girl, and you be that light for your sisters, for sure, and anybody else that you come in contact with. One of the things that we talk about a lot in our mentee relationships is self-care. And we actually have an exercise that we do with our mentees that is about self-care. And we bring that again to the forefront, and to the point that we make that it is an actual exercise, and we discuss with them, what is their plan for their self-care. And if, somebody's stuck, because people don't really sometimes don't understand the concept of self-care. We're there to provide, suggestions and really probe and see what it is that each person really likes and things that really bring them happiness and bring them pleasure. And those kinds of things can be a part of self-care. And so, and we also go, Janet, this is for you too. We all also go through with the mentors about their self-care, because it is oftentimes, depending on who you're mentoring with, there could be some secondary trauma that you may experience, or there may be triggers yourself that you get from your mentees. And so you have to be mindful of your own presence and your own self-care. So as you all are mentoring others, and even looking to your mentor, always consider the notion of self-care. Make sure you all have a self-care plan for yourselves. Larissa, you were saying you suffer from bouts of anxiety pretty sometimes. And so, knowing how you can take care of yourself and what you need to do to step away so that you don't have those anxieties. So we talk in our mentoring relationships, we talk about those kinds of things too. And I know back again when I was coming along and some years ago, these kinds of things weren't talked about. So, even though we're in a tough age and you all are in a very tough space, there are a lot of positives about it too. I mean, some of the things that are commonplace to talk about now were not commonplace, not even 10 years ago. Were they part of the collective conversation? So it's positives to this as well, but you all are sitting in a very unique seat, that you have access to mentors and a whole world open up to you. And now you have the added little job of making sure you are keeping an eye on people that you could potentially mentor, and looking at individuals that you may come in contact with and see certain sparks in them that they may not see themselves, that you can draw out of them and continue to encourage them to go along.
So Larissa and Chandrea, if you were able to give a commercial for young people about the importance of mentorship, what would be in your commercial? What would you say?
It's kind of a tough one. I feel like I would just say that mentors can be found throughout your life, and that it's important to seek somebody that can, like you guys said, be your biggest cheerleader. And I don't know, this is kind of tough for me to like. Sorry.
I know, put you on the spot, Chandrea.
I would say something like a track and field type of scene. Like, when they do the relay race, how like you pass the baton. I would do something like towards that nature. Okay. And then say something like encouraging in the background, like it takes more than one to continue. I don't know.
I like that.
That's really good.
I like that. I think someone may steal that tagline from you.
No.
What would you say, Yolanda?
I think I would say kind of like, maybe, I don't know if you guys have been on TV, like when they're selling like insurance and stuff like that. Something like you're in need of support, or do you need someone to help you navigate life? Something along those lines. Give us a call to blah blah blah. Like, I think it's oftentimes you don't hear of mentorship opportunities, or about you don't know if there's any mentors around you until you look in the internet, or if you happen to, hear it on Spotify or on the radio. So something like that I was thinking.
What would you say, Nancy? Because you're doing the work of providing mentors and getting young people linked to mentors. What would your commercial say?
My commercial would say, do you need someone to talk to? And we don't, in trying not to give it that tilt like a therapist kind of thing, but do you need a friend to talk to? Mentorship, that's what we do. So.
And we're getting close to wrapping up. I mean, one of the things I don't think we touched on is how empowering mentorship can be, right? How empowering it could be to move mountains, how empowering it could be to take big, huge leaps or steps forward, all of those things. So what would you say has been empowering for you about a mentorship or mentee relationship?
I would say, I feel like it all goes back to extending grace. I personally feel like God has extended me grace, because the previous situation that I was in was really not good for me. So I would say the program extended grace to me, and also encouraged me to extend grace to others, because just as I'm going through things, other people are going through things as well. And also just still being appreciative for what I do have. And,
Absolutely.
I would say extending grace.
What's been empowering for you, Larissa?
I think what's been empowering is just having access to somebody to empower me, like I think it's super empowering to empower other people. And I know when I empower other women, I feel empowered. So it's just like that kind of little transaction, I think.
Yolanda?
I think for me, what's been empowering about a mentor and mentee relationship has been the ability to know or to look up to someone, having like a role model. I think that's one of the main things that mentors often are viewed as. When you ask, youth like, oh, why are they your mentors? They most of the time they say because they have been a role model to me. They have, motivated me in this kind of way. So being able to look up to someone for who they are is empowering, just because that gives you, like the motivation to be just like them. So not exactly maybe what they're doing, but with the certain qualities that they carry of how they are as mentors. Because I know that's what I do with the mentors that I have. I picked up some of their qualities and put them into work with my relationships that I have with other mentees.
Fantastic. Nancy?
So I would say what I've experienced and also what I've heard from our mentors is that it's probably even a bigger deal for the mentors than you might think. It is super empowering and just joyous to know that you're able to share some of your experiences and share some of your successes and the mistakes that you may have made, that you now can help someone else navigate and maybe not make that same mistake that you made. And it's a feeling of joy, it's a feeling of gratitude to be able to have the trust of someone that really looks to you to provide some additional thoughts and additional ways to look at things. It's very it's gratifying, it's empowering, it makes you feel, as a mentor, it makes you feel really, really good inside to know that your path and your life that you've led can really be of service and be of help to someone else. It's a huge thing, and you all will find that out soon. That feeling, it's a feeling, a different kind of feeling. It's joy, it's, you know, gratefulness, is grace, as she said, that you have been able to be in this position to be able to help someone else.
Right. And I think, you know, one of the major takeaways that we could get from today's podcast is that, you know, mentorship matters, people matter, relationships matter, having a communal spirit or a communal space, all of that matters. Being seen, being heard, having a cheerleader, that matters as well, as we're focusing on this, well, will be the last day of National Mentorship Month. But just because it's the last day of National Mentorship Month doesn't mean that we don't need to continue this dialogue around youth mentorship and meeting young people where they are, especially BIPOC young women. So we're at the close, and normally during this time, we close with a woke moment, and we normally start off with my woke moment is, or my woke moment was. So I will start it off. My woke moment was hearing all the wonderful stories from you wonderful guests. I mean, you truly enlightened me, and I got to know you all personally. So that raised my wokeness. Yolanda?
I think my woke moment, you know, it's nice to hear sometimes, you know, for you know, people who have experienced mentor relationships, that they're, you know, grateful for these relationships. Because sometimes, as mentors, you might feel like your work is sometimes maybe unnoticed, but, you know, knowing, you know, that there's youth here that are acknowledging the importance of these relationships and what the relationships have done to their lives, you know, gives you that extra motivation to, you know, keep moving forward and keep pushing your own mentees. I know that was one of the woke moments for me, that, you know, my work doesn't stop here, it continues, and as long as I wanted to. So I'm very grateful.
Fantastic. Chandrea?
My woke moment was knowing how mentors truly feel. Sometimes, like, as a person who's going through stuff, you don't automatically want to just unload everything onto your mentor. So to know that it is actually a safe space, and they actually, like, it's actually like a both sides are working together. So to see that, and not to see that I'm just like a recipient, and that it goes both ways, is actually like mind-blowing.
Larissa?
I would say my woke moment is just really understanding that like mentorship is something that should be sought after, and it should be more like normalized and talked about in our society. Because I've never had a conversation with a friend that's like, oh yeah, I have a mentor that taught me this and that, you know, but I think it's something that I want to talk to about with my friends. And also, like Chandrea was saying, I never really thought that mentors would benefit from it as well. I kind of just thought that maybe I was a burden asking somebody to like mentor me, you know, but now I understand that it's something that is beneficial to both sides.
Absolutely. So you could close us out with the final woke moment, Nancy.
All right, and it'll be quick and simple. My woke moment was when I realized that everybody needs somebody, and that is my woke moment.
And Nancy, before we close out, can you please share information about how they could reach out to 3FN?
Yes, absolutely. And also this first half of this first half of 2022, I should say, we are embarking on a For the Children initiative, which is a recruitment and outreach and education initiative around fostering, adopting, and supporting those that have been impacted by the child welfare system. You can reach us at www.faithfosterfamilies.org. You can reach us at info@faithfosterfamilies.org. Office number 323-531-7900. Thank you.
Great. And I want to thank our audience for tuning in and joining us for Woke Moments. You all have a fantastic day. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all.